So, with the release of the long awaited sequel, today I wanted to take a couple minutes to go back over one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite experiences of all time is Blade Runner. So, for clarification, when I refer to Blade Runner, I'm referring to the final cut, which I feel is the definitive version. But anyway, moving on. Now, for those that are familiar with me, you'll know that I have a deep love for Star Wars. I mean, obviously, there's a big Darth Vader cutout standing right behind me, but for as much as I love the Star Wars films, I would never go as far to say as they are perfect. And Empire sure gets pretty close, but when talking about Blade Runner, I have no qualms with referring to it as a perfect film. Starting from the sound, the cinematography, to the script, the actors, just everything just comes together to make something truly special. Let's start by just going over the story. We are told that the year is 2019, which isn't that far off. There are these robot things called replicants that are made to, well, replicate humans to the point that they're almost indistinguishable. They're basically used as slaves or guinea pigs to go out into space where we wouldn't want to send actual people. Eventually, they would start a revolt, and a ban is placed on the Earth, so replicants are no longer allowed on Earth. Replicants are also starting to give a shortened lifespan of 4 years to help them from becoming hostile. As replicants begin to sneak back into the Earth and everything like that, a special police force is kind of created to identify and terminate the replicants, and these were referred to as Blade Runners. So when the film starts, we're following Harrison Ford as Rick Deckard, a retired Blade Runner who's brought or really forced back into work to track down some extremely dangerous replicants who have made it onto the Earth. Deckard eventually goes to the Tyrell Company, which is responsible for creating these replicants, and a whole shitstorm ensues that make us question our own morality. What defines a human? What are these replicants that really different from us? How are they different from us? As Deckard goes about his mission, he is really forced to face what it is that he's been doing his whole life as he starts to see these replicants as more than just a job. Which culminates in the final battle with the lead replicant, Roy Batty, who's great, by the way, just absolutely fucking great. All Roy wants is to live a normal life. He's coming to the end of his 4-year life cycle, and he's scared. He doesn't want to die. He wants to live. And these things really start to weigh in on Deckard. Like, what has he been doing? Are these things more than just like a robot? And ultimately it culminates in the best, maybe the best movie speech of all time by Roy Batty, and I won't get into it here, but now I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory here. Maybe we might do some more videos about that later, but specifically in regard to the identity crisis issue, and for clarification, he totally is. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If not, then you'll find out. What I really want to convey is that this is a movie I feel everyone should see. This is a movie that's so important, if for nothing else, in creating the look that we identify with so many modern sci-fi films or otherwise. This is Ridley Scott at his best with the atmospheric feel you can't beat. This movie is from around that perfect time for me in cinema before computer graphics really changed things. In this era of film, they needed a scene to look a certain way. They had to actually build it and make it look that way, or use movie magic to try to convince us or trick us into it. There's a realism to this world that you just don't get anymore. Sure, today they can literally do anything they want on the screen, but because of that, we've lost that grit or that feeling of a real world that a green screen can never really replicate, to use that term again. Blade Runner 2049 comes out this week, and while my hopes are super sky high to the fucking roof about this film, for better or worse, I implore you to go spend some time, go watch the original. It really is something special.